Okay, Bodgers. Right, so mystery object. You remember a few videos back? I'll put a link in the description. I got hold of a thing. Didn't know what it was. We had a look at it. Fetched it to me expert, Martin. He does a lot of the radio stuff at the museum, at RAF Snaith Museum. Links in the description. So we'll go see what he's got going on in his room first, and then we'll get round to the mystery item, shall we? Let's take a look. So this is Martin.
Hello.
The expert. Tell us what you got going on here first, and then we'll get to the mystery item and you can tell us what we think it is.
Okay, so working from this side, we have the AR-88 receiver. That was used mostly at ground level because it's extremely heavy. Used by the Y Station girls to intercept German radio traffic. Moving on from that, we have the equipment that would have been on our aircraft here. The T1154 transmitter and the pair of R1155 receivers. Unfortunately not working yet, but we will have them working eventually. A few random bits above, field telephones, direction indicators, an analogue bombing computer and a slightly post-war and extremely heavy oscilloscope. And then our small stack of modern equipment that allows us to put on our amateur radio special events.
Which is that thing,
Which
isn't
is this call sign here, Golf Bravo Zero Romeo Sierra Mike, RAF Snaith Museum. Up until last year it was, well, Signals Museum, but they forgot to renew their licence. So tough luck for them.
So we swooped in.
Coming round past me, you've got the kite that would have been with the Gibson Girl transmitter on the rescue dinghies. We have a working Aldis lamp, which we can demonstrate. That
yeah, give it a go. Send us a message.
We can connect that up. Here we go.
Do us bearded bodger in Morse code or whatever.
Sure I can remember.
Go on.
Okay,
you know you can.
Let's see. So. There we go.
There you go.
I think that was right.
Don't let us know, don't worry.
Someone will look at my incredibly terrible Morse code and work that one out. And last along the shelf we have the actual Gibson Girl transmitter from the rescue dinghies.
And this is a kite line here, is it?
That's it. So the coil of wire there would have been the antenna attached to the kite. Hiding inside this little knob here is the earth line, which you would tip over the side and let it sink into the sea. Now there's no batteries in these, so everything is powered by cranking it by hand with a handle on top. That includes sending automatically an SOS message. I can never get this thing back in when I take it out, so I'll let it sit there for the time being. As you crank it, it sends SOS automatically by using essentially a small music box inside. That's how a music box would work with the pins on the reeds, but here it has a relay contact and the Morse code letters carved out of a disc. It can also do the same with a lamp. A signal lamp could be inserted in there. You would wear it as a headlamp, so when a rescue aircraft was nearby you would be sending your distress message to them so they could find you. And you can in fact send it by and with a little Morse key on there. So they were given the name Gibson Girl because the shape of the radio to allow you to be able to actually turn that handle. It's very heavy and there's no way you can turn that handle on a bouncing around dinghy at sea without some way of keeping it steady. So the shape is so you can get it between your thighs and strap it down to yourself, and then wherever you go in the boat that goes with you. If you go over the side, it
you need to get rid of it.
You probably can't get it unfastened before you've sunk. So slightly dodgy in that sense. But the name Gibson Girl comes from, I believe it was a American artist called Charles Gibson, who in the 20s would draw stylised images of what he considered the ideal female shape, which had a very narrow waist. So that is where the name comes from. I imagine therefore that the equivalent on the Eastern Front with the Russians probably bowed outwards because they liked a much more fulsome lady.
Maybe. You never know.
How that would help you hold it in the water, I don't know.
Well, more to get hold of, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And everything else along here is bits and pieces for repairs and parts of other things.
Work in progress.
Yeah, it's all work in progress as we go along.
We're hoping to get him into a bigger room at some point.
Absolutely.
So, mystery item.
Yes, the mystery item.
Tell us what we think it is.
What we think this is. Okay, so just before the Second World War, there'd been a big drive to make all transmission equipment fully electronic, using valves to generate radio frequencies, whereas beforehand we used spark transmitters. Now these basically are very wideband, very noisy, very inefficient, and not very good once you get a lot of traffic. They tend to wipe each other out and make things difficult. Now in the First World War there was a problem with spotting artillery. So you needed to know where your shells were landing, and of course you can't easily just wander over and take a nosy at what's happening on the other side of no man's land. So with the advent of aircraft, some bright spark literally came up with the idea of putting a transmitter on a plane, and they would then see the fall of shot and radio that back down to the artillery. But that needed powering, and batteries at the time would have been incredibly heavy. I don't think a Sopwith Camel would have got off the ground with a battery in it.
Not really.
So they came up with these nice little generators, like this beast here. This would have been strapped underneath the aircraft. There would have been a propeller here. This piece wouldn't have been there at the time. And as the plane flew, that propeller would turn and this would generate the voltages needed to power the transmitter. So we know what type of spark transmitter it was for because it's marked here, type 52A. And we know it's post-World War I because it's marked RAF service. Now the curious part of this is the fact that it has this attached, and the fact it came in this crate down here which has got a window. So this is a motor, this is a 110 volt DC motor, and being coupled together with the generator here forms a motor generator set. What we later knew of when we ran this sort of equipment as a dynamotor. So in our later aircraft there would have been a dynamo or an alternator on one of the main engines. That would have provided power throughout the aircraft for electronics and avionics, but it wouldn't have been at the voltages these need. So that would have been used to drive a motor like this, which would then drive a generator for the voltages needed. So that's what we call a dynamotor. So what we think has happened here, and the clue for this is the case with the window in it, is that this motor has been coupled to this generator as a demonstration set, as a teaching aid. So new apprentice engineers or aircraftsmen would probably have been taken to a classroom and shown this working and shown the voltages coming off. Whether they would have had this with the transmitter or not, I don't know. We don't have the transmitter. It did come with a transformer, which doesn't seem to quite match, and I'm a little worried about actually powering it at the moment because the output of this should be 5,000 volts. So I want to be very careful.
Might be a bit of a tingle.
I want to be very careful when I connect that up. I'm not sure which connections are which yet either, so I think it's the top terminals are probably the high voltage, because the wire here is very thick, heavy gauge. So as the voltage goes up, the current goes down. So likewise, going the other way, if you're starting with a low voltage, you need to put a lot of current in. So we're not sure what that was for, but we will find out eventually. But yes, we think this is a demonstration piece, a teaching aid, showing the principle of the generator and dynamotor setup.
Nice. Well, what I'll do is I'll insert pictures of what that was connected to, and we'll show the bodgers that. And we'll yeah, see how that goes. But it's all a work in progress. We're hoping to move him into there at some point, give him more room.
Absolutely.
Bit of a workshop, because he gets forgotten about down here a bit.
It does get lonely down here in the basement. So, but this, however, is the traditional location for a radio operator. They were generally shoved into the smallest place they could be found, which does lead to a bit of a lonely life. But from the point of view of having to handle cryptographic information and code books and things, the smaller the space and the fewer people can get in that space, the more secure it is. So
makes sense.
It does make sense to ram the radio operator into
in that case, you can stay in here. That's it.
No, I'll move over there and set up more radio, and we'll move an actual cryptographer into here to.
Yes.
We'll train someone up to convert messages into code. So.
Yeah. Yeah, jolly good. Thanks for that, Martin.
No problem.
So there you go. There you go, Bodgers. So yeah, that's Martin. You can come and have a chat to him next time you come. You know, come down. Links are in the description to the museum. Come down, and he'll keep you in here and tell you everything that's going on in here. He'll have other bits by then, no doubt, because every time somebody comes, they come with something. I've got this. It was my granddad's. Found it in the loft, and there you go.
Absolutely. And if anyone's got any more of this sort of stuff, in particular power supplies for it, we'd be very grateful.
Yeah, power supply is a big thing. What are we looking for power supply?
I can't remember the numbers for it, but there is a ground power unit which is intended to run the T1154 that produces 1,200 volts at about a quarter of an amp. It then feeds the receivers with about 220 volts at quarter of an amp. And it feeds the entire lot with 6 volts at, I think, 15 amps. So it is a hefty power supply.
That is a bit of it, yeah. Isn't it? Anyway.
Oh yes.
So yeah, if you know what all that means and you've got that sort of stuff, let us know. Drop me a line in the comments. You can find me on Facebook. Links in the description for all that, and we'll try and sort him out. And yeah, keep him amused. He loves it down here. Don't ignore him. He don't like being. He loves it being left down here to his own devices. Thing is, he spreads out as well. He spreads out. He's doing other repairs elsewhere. But anyway, so there you go, Bodgers. Little video, little follow up to our little mystery item there, and yeah. There we go. So from me, it's goodbye. From him, it's goodbye. And we'll see you later, Bodgers.